Hey San Diego, and welcome back to FLEETtv. I'm your host, Ashanti Davis, Exhibition Manager here at the Fleet Science Center. In this episode, we are celebrating women in STEM. That's right, it's all about the ladies this time. Today, we're going to take you now to our Fleetster in the field, Keisha Robinson, Senior Manager of Clinical Research at Illumina and BWise Advisory Council member. Take it away, Keisha.
Hi, everyone. My name is Keisha Denise Robinson, and I'm a proud member of the advisory board for BWise, Better Education for Women in Science and Engineering. I'm also Senior Manager of Clinical Research at Illumina Incorporated. There, my medical genomics team focuses on precision medicine. Specifically, we detect rare and undiagnosed genetic diseases, also known as rugged. We conduct a number of clinical trials, both domestically and abroad, where we focus on adult and pediatric populations. I specifically lean a little bit more towards the pediatric side just because I really love children. We have a number of hospital partnerships, and I fly to each of these hospitals where I train clinicians on how to conduct clinical research at their respective sites, and then I return periodically to monitor their work. This year marks 19 years since I've been working in clinical research. And to be completely honest with you, STEM still excites me to this day for a number of reasons. The first being, it still satisfies my inner nerd. And trust me, it is okay to be a nerd. Ladies, if anybody gives you grief, tell them we get cool shirts. Also, I think STEM is really important because it exposes young ladies to a world of opportunities that you may not have otherwise been exposed to. So whether it's professional development or educational enrichment, STEM has it all. I also think that STEM is really important in terms of representation. It's invaluable for young ladies who look like me, and even those who don't, to see women working successfully in the fields to which they aspire. I personally look forward to this next generation of young ladies in STEM. I want you to not only have a seat at the table, but I want you to be welcomed and valued contributors to the work that we do, ultimately advancing and completely redefining the face of what we know as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Happy Mother's Day.
Thanks so much, Keisha. You may not know this, but our BWise program stands for Better Education for Women in Science and Engineering, which means that women like Keisha who play on the advisory council also play mentor roles for young girls. So our next Fleetster is Isabella, one of our BWise girls, who's going to give you the lowdown on one of my favorite demos, Magic Milk.
Hey everyone, so today we're going to be doing a science experiment with magic milk. It's super cool. Okay, so here we have some milk, and then we have some food coloring. We have blue, green, yellow, and red, and what we're going to do is hopefully make the milk explode. So you take some soap on a Q-tip and just apply it directly on the food coloring. The soap makes contact with the food coloring. As you can see, it expands. And what's really cool about this is the fat in the milk attaches to the soap membrane molecules because the soap has a polar end, and so the fat molecules are essentially just trying to line up with the milk's fat molecules, which is super cool. So as you can see, it makes this very pretty sort of design. And that's your magic milk.
Thanks so much for that awesome demo, Isabella. Now, Magic Milk is one of my favorites, so make sure you try it at home and change up the variables. Change the milk, change the soap, see what happens. It's all about science. Speaking of science, we're going to send you now to another Fleetster in the field, Melissa Miller, and she's going to answer all your Fleet questions. And today's question, I think, is one of the most important to all of us in STEM.
Hi, I'm Melissa Miller, and I'm a chemist at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. I analyze seawater samples, sometimes here in a lab in La Jolla, and sometimes on a research vessel in the middle of the ocean. Rebecca Kay from San Diego asks, what is science? I love this question because a lot of people think science has to be complicated and you have to go to school for a long time in order to understand it, but that's just not the case. Sure, sometimes a lab coat and personal protective equipment like mine is necessary since I work with chemicals, but I also do a lot of other types of science every day, and so do you. There's something called the scientific method, and it requires only a few steps. 1, ask a question. 2, do some experiments. 3, observe and record what happens. And then 4, figure out what your results mean. My favorite example is commuting in traffic. If you're trying to decide whether different lanes move any faster than the one you're in, pick a recognizable car or truck that is in a different lane, keep track of it, and you'll have your answer. That's using the scientific method. That's doing science. Since I sit in traffic during my commute from City Heights, I run this experiment nearly every day. Sometimes I get different answers because there's so many variables. This is how a lot of scientific experiments go, which is why scientists try and control as many of those variables as possible. Being a scientist means not knowing the answers to a lot of questions, but being willing to do research in order to find the answers. Scientists are basically explorers, working in all different fields. You also use science in your everyday life and may not even realize it. Baking is chemistry, combining ingredients to make something new. Scientists and engineers figured out how to make cars, and they continue to work on new designs. Weather forecasts come from sensors in the ocean and sky, and those were created by scientists and engineers too. Science is broad and covers pretty much everything, so just because I'm a scientist doesn't mean I know about every topic. For example, as a chemist, I have no idea how phone and Wi-Fi signals travel through the air. I've never even understood how airplanes fly. I didn't study medicines or vaccines and how they're discovered, but I do trust science and the scientists who work in those fields. Science is how we understand everything about the world around us, from gravity to meteor showers, from whale migrations to the ocean tides. What did you do today that involved science?
Thanks so much, Melissa, for answering that burning question. What is science? Now, I may not be a STEM professional, but when I was a little girl, I learned all about Mae Jemison, and since then, I've been dreaming about the stars. So I may not be an astronaut, but I can always dream about what's going on up there. So thanks so much for watching this episode and celebrating with us Women in STEM. Check us out on social, send us to your friends, and of course, we'll see you next week.